Hi friends, this is Deep Basu and welcome to my channel Think Deep. I am back once again and I'm going to review a latest film on Netflix called The White Tiger, and I guess it released on Friday, and I've been hearing a lot about this film, so I finally watched it yesterday night. By the way, White Tiger, I don't know how many of you know this. It's an adaptation of a very famous book written by the one and only Arvind Adhika. In the year 2008, it won the Booker Prize, and frankly speaking, most of my friends have read the book, including my mom. And I used to always wonder what's this book about and how and why is the title White Tiger? Means what's the story, what's the plot? So I used to often wonder. And since I'm not a bookworm myself, so I never attempted to read it. So lucky me, finally the film has arrived on Netflix and I watched it. So White Tiger, if most of you have, I'm sure most of you have read the book, so you guys will be familiar with the story. So since I have not read the book, I'll not be able to give a proper comparison how the adaptation has been justified, or are there any changes. And this movie has been directed by a very famous director called Ramin Baharani. He had made a very critically acclaimed film called Chop Chop, and most of his films have the same kind of I won't say plot. The theme is usually very same. Most of his films, the story is all about underdog, how an underdog seeks redemption. So coming back to the story of White Tiger, so the movie begins introducing us to Balaram and Balaram Halwai. So the movie basically introduces us to the year 2010. Balaram Halwai is the owner of what do you call a logistics chain called the White Tiger Cabs, and he's a successful businessman who's writing a letter to a very famous person in China, and he looks groomed, he looks like a boss. So that's how the movie begins. And Balaram Halwai is the main protagonist of the film. The entire film basically revolves around his life. So now we go back to flashback, and Balaram tells the story of how he made it here and how he became a rich businessman. So then we go back to his past life. We go back to 2007. We are introduced to the young version of Balaram, and it's set in a village called Lakshman Ghar. Balaram was a very bright student, a very ambitious student, a young kid who had a great farsightedness. So he was the only young kid who could speak English in his class, and all the teachers were quite impressed by him. So he was called the White Tiger. You know what a white tiger is? A very rare tiger who comes, I think, who appears every one generation it appears. That's, I think, one of the dialogues of the film. So Balaram was always, compared to a white tiger who is rare. So Balaram was a very rare kid. So if you see the film, you'll get to know that he was a young kid. He belonged to a very poor family, and his father was a rickshaw puller. He had a small sweet shop. He had a very greedy grandmother. In spite of the poverty life, he was pretty ambitious and he wanted to seek redemption, and he never left any stones unturned to reach or to fulfill all his goals. So Balaram basically, so in the village, we are introduced to a guy called the Stock, played by Mahesh Manjrekar. He basically comes every month, every week, and takes hafta from the villagers. He's a corrupted rich businessman who doesn't pay tax. He bribes the government so that his tax are are not disclosed. And but this Mahesh Manjrekar, the Stock, has two sons. One is Mongoose, that's what Balaram calls him, and the other one is Ashok. He's a US return. One of his sons, an NRI, is played by Rajkumar Rao. And so Balaram has a very clear vision. He basically, after seeing Rajkumar Rao, Balaram's son Ashok, he makes up his mind that he would like to be their chauffeur, and Ashok will be his only key for him to seek redemption and to be out of his poverty-stricken life. So Balaram takes 300 rupees from his grandmother, and in exchange promises her that from his salary he's going to only keep 300 and give her the maximum chunk of his salary. So Balaram learns how to drive. Then he goes to this Stock's house, Mahesh Manjrekar's house, and he offers his service as a driver. He gets selected in the test and he ends up becoming the personal driver of Rajkumar Rao, Ashok. So now Balaram plan begins to work, and how he slowly and steadily uses his wit, uses his sweet talk, and how he climbs the ladder, and how slow and steadily Ashok and Balaram become close. Not close as friends, but Balaram really impresses Ashok. Ashok is very fond of Balram. He takes Balram to Delhi and makes him his personal chauffeur. So and steadily you will get to see Balram's life. And I love the way Balram, the character Balram, explains the rooster coop, the how every in our daily life, how chicken, how they are cut, how they are slaughtered, but they don't complain. Basically, that's the scenario of India. Our lower caste people, the servant quota, the people who work with us, the laborers. No matter how you treat them, they never rebel, because that's a culture in India. They know that we are owners and they are the laborers, they are the servants. We pay them. So if they rebel, we're going to kick them out. We can find their replacement. So that's very well explained by giving us an example of a rooster coop and how Balram uses his wit to get out of the rooster coop. Because he also belongs to a lower caste. He also belongs to a very poor family, and he also works as a driver. And how he's slow and steady. So it's a very interesting journey of Balram. And later part of the film, you will see how he gets betrayed by his own owners and how he seeks revenge and what really happens. You need to watch. So overall, it's an interesting, compelling watch. But somewhat I feel that the story, second half, somewhat there was nothing new to offer us. Everything was quite repetitive. And I wanted to see more layers of Balram's character and more sequences. The first half seemed pretty interesting. I think towards the end, I somewhat got a little bored. But overall, it's a very compelling watch, and the director Amin Behrani has done a great job. The cinematographer is also has done a great job. The frames, the look is quite real. And overall, coming to performances, Adarsh Gaurav steals the show. And Adarsh Gaurav played the lead character of Balram, and he is the best part of the film. And Rajkumar, I believe Adarsh went through a grading 2-month workshop to essay this character. Apart from that, Rajkumar Rao has done a good job, decent job, but somewhat I felt Rajkumar Rao didn't quite suit the character. We get to see Priyanka Chopra as well playing Pinky, Rajkumar Rao's wife. And Priyanka Chopra has a very small role, but I believe she's the executive producer of the film. So I'm sure she has she has lots to do. So that's my review for White Tiger. So overall, a compelling watch. Do watch it. Let me know if I missed out any points. And since I've not read the book, so I can't really compare and tell you guys what was there, what was not mentioned. So this is my review for White Tiger. So overall, I liked it and I do recommend it. Do watch it.